Welcome to the Culture Playbook, where we break down the past to understand the present. Today, we're reviewing a 1967 film that claimed women were choosing welfare over fathers. But was that the full story, or just the beginning of a narrative that reshaped entire communities? This isn't just a history lesson. This is about how policy, perception, and power This isn't just a history lesson. This is about how policy, perception, and power collided. And why the echoes of this film still shape debates around family, welfare, and accountability today. Let's run the tape and call the play.
I'm gonna save my dough. Get away from here. I ain't gonna come back no more.
Welfare mothers, and the children too, feel that they are on a dead-end street. That the way things are, there's not enough money and no way to hold up your head. And so they've begun what amounts to a welfare revolt.
You look on TV and you see that poor little kid from another nation. Oh, he looks so pitiful. I feel so sorry for him. But I can't overlook the fact that we have poor little kids in this nation.
Mrs. Etta Horn is a leader of the welfare rights movement. Their principle and their overwhelming complaint is that there simply is not enough money to raise a family, and then that it's given in a self-defeating and self-perpetuating way, that it degrades the people who receive it.
I have children. I look at my kids' face and I think, am I going to really prove to them where it starts at? You know, they're always screaming about delinquents. American Welfare Department makes delinquents.
There is an evil system around.
Martin Luther King believes that welfare is part of that system, damaging to black and white alike.
Will not get right until this evil system is removed, because as I have listened and as I've looked,
I wonder if a lot of black people know that Martin Luther King had those sentiments about the system. I think the older black people for a long time was not even about to get onto that system. I know in the case of my grandmother, they were people that were they did not believe in handouts. They didn't have much, but they were not just taking handouts.
and as I've lived in the ghetto, I've seen what this evil system has done to my brothers and my sisters. I've seen how it has left little children with clouds of inferiority formed in their little mental sky. I've seen how this evil system has transformed nice, decent young women into prostitutes. I've seen how this system has transformed nice, decent young men into dope addicts trying to escape the ugliness of their daily life.
They always preach about Martin Luther King and I Have a Dream speech, but this type of rhetoric you never hear just on the regular.
Maria Ortiz and her children, Hilda, Juanita, Antonio, Pedro, in their New York apartment. Mrs. Ortiz gets her welfare check under the Aid for Dependent Children program. It comes to about $117 every 2 weeks.
What do you guys think about the big, beautiful bill that was just passed where they did the reform on the welfare where now illegal immigrants will not be able to partake in the welfare system?
About $3,000 a year. Not enough to pay the rent, feed and clothe the kids, and provide the diet that the doctor has told Mrs. Ortiz she needs. Another child is on the way. The father of her children has deserted her.
And that's the question. Again, I mean, you know the condition that you live in, and you see your environment, you see the condition that you're in, and yet you continue to produce more kids. And this, again, remember, this is from 1967.
The fact that governs everything else in Mrs. Ortiz's life is money, or the lack of it. Her inability to give her children the things they need. But Mrs. Ortiz is comparatively fortunate. She lives in New York, which has one of the highest welfare standards in the country. Some places, Mississippi and some other southern states in particular, keep welfare recipients at the edge of starvation.
And those cities are mainly your sanctuary cities, too. It's no different than today, 2025, where the illegal immigrants would gravitate to these cities, these sanctuary cities, because they could exploit the system.
30 cents a day for each child in some areas, 50 cents a day in others. In those...
Wow, 1967, you heard it said 30 cents a day, 50 cents a day. Wow, the economy has definitely changed.
Last days before the welfare check arrives, the children subsist on what their mother bought 2 weeks previously, mainly cereal, sometimes potatoes. Mrs. Ortiz, with 4 children and the 5th on the way, is probably beyond the point of marriage. The men she meets rarely earn more than $80 a week. If she marries, her welfare check would most likely be cut off. The men cannot support her, and therefore they cannot marry her. At age 20...
And that's the insidiousness about the system itself, is that even today, where I've seen cases where people will not take extra jobs or take extra hours because if they do, they would go across some threshold and then they would lose their benefits.
She may already be permanently consigned to the welfare rolls. The problems of the Ortizes are similar to those of welfare families in other cities: Los Angeles, Denver, Chicago, Detroit.
I have never received my check on time. Now, they say they put them out, but now, like yesterday, it's supposed to have been here yesterday, and it didn't arrive, and I'm waiting today for it. Now, 2 weeks ago, it was supposed to have been on a Friday, so it didn't arrive. So I waited Saturday until the mailman went by, still no check, so I called down.
And I think this is a reflection of, I think this is a good depiction of what the welfare system is today, as far as what diversity is concerned. You got all different races of women on the system. Of course,
there for emergency order, like they told me to. There is no such thing as emergency order on a weekend. So in other words, my children went without food from Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, until Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock.
Mrs. Jane Wilson is a Detroit welfare mother. The premise of the ADC program is simple.
Yet I still detect the entitlement in her voice. She's saying that her children didn't go unfed, as if it was, and she was complaining about the check that she didn't work for. All this woman has done to this point apparently has had children and has the entitled mindset that somebody should be taking care of them, and that person's not her husband.
That children without visible means of support must be aided by the state. But to be eligible, a mother and her children must be without a man in the house.
Well, my husband left me in September, and then I went down to the emergency shelter, welfare shelter, and then I had to go through the welfare, fill out all these papers, drag all 5 kids on the bus, go down there, sit there and wait for 3-4 hours until they come around to you. I felt like the lowest thing on earth when I went to the welfare. I felt like they were all better than me, that they could walk all over me. Which I got down on my hands and knees to them and begged them for coats and boots for these children at wintertime. I actually got down on my hands and knees, and you can ask anybody down at that office. I actually got down on my hands and knees and begged them. And you know what? And when I went down there, sure, they gave me the coats and boots. Sure, after you get down on your hands and knees and you beg, that's the only way you're going to get anything from the welfare.
And is that any different today? You hear about the demeaning, women speak about it in the same demeaning manner. About how, it's a burden to have somebody just come into your apartment randomly, having to submit to these inspections and these checks. But it's all about decision making. I think it was the same thing then as it is now. Now she,
To this day, I have never gotten anything from the welfare for myself.
Breakfast in the home of Carol King, a Cleveland welfare mother with 9 children. On the days before the welfare check arrives, there is half an orange for each child.
And it's like the lady said in the beginning of the video, it's no different than today. You got people barely able to survive from week to week, from day to day, from check to check. And we're supposed to be concerned about what's going on over in Israel, Palestine, Iran, or any of these other places. It seems so foreign to us, not just in distance, but from the reality of most people's lives. And this was in 1967, and this is still the reality today, in my opinion.
Mrs. King has become involved in the welfare rights movement because she feels she doesn't get enough money to raise her family. She gets less than 80 cents a day for each of her children. The Ohio legislature approves only 3/4 of the amount that the state welfare department felt was a minimum necessity.
I mean, was then, as is now. The question is, she says 9 children. When is it enough? How many children are enough? When do you realize that, listen, I can't afford to do this? I know that sounds bad, but look at the conditions that you subject these children to. Are you that selfish? Yeah, it's just a question.
In 1959, the rise of ADC recipients in the last 6 years has been particularly dramatic among Negro families in the northern ghettos. Giving aid only when the husband is absent pushes the man out of the house. His presence is an economic hardship, and a whole class of women and children are growing up in the north.
And there it is. He says his presence is an economic hardship for the women. Not a system where, you help out the family unit. It's an insidious system.
The rise of ADC recipients in the last 6 years has been particularly dramatic among Negro families in the northern ghettos. Giving aid only when the husband is absent pushes the man out of the house. His presence is an economic hardship, and a whole class of women and children are growing up in the northern ghettos knowing neither husband nor father, only dependence on welfare. Life on welfare means waiting in line for food stamps, as for every.
And this is from 1967. So from then to now, let's think about what the effect of fatherless homes is. We see the effect. We don't have to even think about it. Again, if you are here for the first time or you just been here for a minute, listen, hit that like button, hit that follow button, hit the subscribe button, become a family member over here at the Culture Playbook. Let's go.
Everything else. After getting her welfare check each month, Mrs. King's first stop is a food stamp center in the heart of Huff, Cleveland's Negro ghetto. She pays $110 for $158 worth of food stamps, which must be spent only on food. The idea is that the state guides the spending of welfare mothers.
So this whole thing about not being able to buy snacks and all of this stuff. This is not a new concept. They've been trying to curb the spending of people that receive these benefits. You hear it here since 1967. So it's not a new concept, nor do I think it's a bad concept. Because if you don't control who's buying, where your food comes from, then you're subject to whatever that person decides in what manner you receive your food.
And the women resent the implicit moral judgment that they don't have the capacity to care properly for their children.
We are bitter because we are faced with trying to raise children without money. People on welfare, if they had money enough to at least exist on, I'm not saying, because I don't have a college diploma, that I should have, $300 a week, but I'm saying that people on welfare have a right to a decent living in a rich country like America. And, like we can always, send charity overseas. And it's, for years, we've been in poverty as a country. And that I'm concerned with a country that, gets concerned with hunger in India, but is not concerned with hunger in the United States.
That's the same thing that's going on right now. Where we've come to a point where their children are not able to afford homes. Children are not able to get married and just start off as a young couple and go buy themselves a little small home because the prices are so high. And these are the same issues that apparently these folks faced in 1967. Because we're concerned about, Israel being safe, and we're concerned about this, yet thousands and thousands of people, they just had a mass overdosing in Baltimore, Maryland a couple days ago. But we're concerned about what?
They talk about planning for a future. You have to first have something to plan with. You don't plan a meal, unless you got, something to eat. And you don't plan a future unless you have something to plan with. And this is what, society's going to have to face. They're talking about future America. And, our kids are part of that future society.
And that's a great point right there. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is what's driving these YNs to be reacting the way that they react. And is it a sense of that we've got to a point where nobody, a large majority of these people feel that they're just hopeless. There's no future. They don't care. They've reached rock bottom. Again, we're reviewing this documentary from 1967.
And to deprive them from the time that they're, babies. Now they say, work with 16-year-olds. That's crazy. A 16-year-old, it's too late.
Growing up without enough money is hard enough. But there are other cold realities about growing up on ADC. Welfare kids usually live in neighborhoods like Cleveland's Huff. They can see the results of violence, even murder, around their own homes. And they must learn to live with it.
And not only have they learned to live with it, but they've adopted it and molded into a culture. And it's called hip hop.
Hate to see these second generations of welfare coming up. And one of the things I think is more crucial too is the youth that's in the ghetto, because most of the youth that's coming up, they're ashamed to tell their buddies, say, well, yeah, we on welfare, we getting ADC or food stamps and things.
And that's how he was able to introduce a whole culture of people to drug dealing, because you get those downtrodden folks like that, and you introduce them a way out. Throw all morals and standards to the wind. We can eat steak tonight.
Like to see it.
Everybody in my whole neighborhood was on relief. We used to run around and kid about it. Because everybody in my neighborhood was on relief, but I was ashamed to go out my neighborhood and tell somebody I was on ADC. Yeah, I'm ashamed of it.
If a child does not have...
And what they're referring to as ABC is food stamps. SNAP.
adequate clothing. They don't want to go. If they can't participate and go to the football games and to the movies, they don't want to go to school. So it starts when a child is small. They recognize the fact that they don't have the things that other children have. Children realize when they're different. They know, I don't care how small you are, you know when you're different. And not only that, when you go to the public schools, many times the teachers make you know that you're different.
Welfare children don't have, I was not able to buy, white shirts for ties and things. But for mother go out like I do, I buy my.
But that has changed now because welfare kids are able to buy Jordans. I want you guys to think about what we're listening to. Welfare kids now are able to buy Jordans. The parents are able to provide them with Jordans and all the finest clothes now.
A child needs knit sweaters and Van Lawn sweaters and things like that. And he wear them with his pants. But Friday, he got to wear a shirt and a tie. And I just don't have it. They have sent my child home twice, last year for not being dressed in a tie. And I mean, it made me real mad. And I called the principal and told him, I said, look, my child ain't got no shirt and ties. Now, if you want to have one, you buy him one.
And there's that entitlement. And that's where from 1967 to now, where you hear teachers talk about parents that come in and pretty much bully the school, bully the administrators of the school, with the attitude that, hey, look, I don't have one. If you want them to have one, then you buy them one.
Even in school, constant and subtle discriminations are made between welfare children and other youngsters. To qualify for most free services, such as milk, a pupil must be on welfare, and thus declares himself a welfare child.
The teacher would tell everybody, the kids, about him being on welfare, and he didn't want them to know he was on welfare. That lunch card they give him, it's on a special lunch that he get for welfare children, and it's not enough. They don't get no kind of dessert with it or ice cream, and I always have to give him more money to go with it.
They ain't gonna give but a handful of crumbs to a mother. What do you think the young teenager gonna do? Why do you think that's down here on Huff? Because when it gets dark, they have to go out here and survive.
And I wonder what do you mean by survive? Because this is not survive, this is dancing. Or maybe it is a form of survival, a form of escape.
This is survival and escape in Huff.
I just said it, right?
Music, movement, and this moment. But in the morning, no job that will pay a living wage.
Again, what's different from hip hop, drill music? What's different from what we got going on today? From 1967 to 2025, what is the difference? Get in the comment section and let me know.
And it begins again. Brenda is 19, unmarried, and she has just had a baby. She's learning to care for him on her own. She's trying to get a job to support him, and she lives with her aunt, who has 5 children of her own.
Golly.
Money was the reason she decided not to marry Kenneth, the father of her child.
I mean, I would have married him, before while I was carrying the baby, but he had no job and couldn't support us since we getting married. When no sense in getting married, so I said, wait. I plan on marrying him next year, and no sooner than next year. Have to give him time to work first. I mean, what's the sense of marrying somebody if he can't support you? That's his job to support you and the baby, not my job to support him and the baby. So after he start working, work more than he been working, then I'll marry him. And I think he's able to take care of two.
At least during that time, they was talking about marriage. At least she was considering the marriage. Now, marriage is not even on the table in 2025. Or is it? Don't know. Get in the comment section. Let me know.
Not necessarily. Many of the girls who go on welfare never graduate from high school. A girl who gets pregnant in most high schools is automatically expelled.
Wow.
Usually she doesn't come back. She's on her way to a lifetime of dependence on welfare. The Webster School in Washington, D.C. is a high school for pregnant girls. A psychotherapy session is a weekly part of the curriculum.
When I first found out that I had become pregnant, and when I found out that there was this school called Webster, I thought that...
So teenage pregnancy, again, you would have thought that was the big thing in the 90s, and apparently that has been a consistent thing throughout time.
I was going to be shut out away from the other people and that I was going to be an outcast. But when I came into Webster, it seems that I had more what you would say, people on my side, more attention going towards my way. And with the help of Miss Gill and then with the help of some of my good friends here, I seem to be making it and all.
And being here with these girls, they are closer to you. I think that all of us are closer together than girls that have not been pregnant, because they all have their opinions and they can easily say things. But we have, we're all going through the experience.
Mrs. Patricia Schiller is a clinical psychologist. She directs the conversation toward future plans and prospects.
Well, I've got a job. I'm going for an interview today. And I filed for support from the father in the court. And it should be coming through by...
The real question is, I mean, they've been having these problems, these issues with this system since 1967. And they've dumped billions and trillions of dollars into the system. And the system seems to have gotten worse and worse. What is the solution?
Time I get back in school in September. For a long time, I was under the firm belief that no one really has any excuse for being on public assistance. But when my grandparents and my father found out I was pregnant, their first attitude was, we aren't going to do anything for you. And my grandmother told me from the beginning, you may not bring this baby into my house. Now, she has responsibility for me until I'm 18 years old. I talked to my social worker here at school, and I have talked to people down at child welfare. And it's being made possible right now for my baby's born in September, for me to put that child in a foster home and to visit it, and they'll take care of it until after I finish the 12th grade and I'll be 18, I'll be on my own, and then I can provide for my child in my own way. And therefore, I think that it can be a good program.
When a girl drops out before completing her high school education, she finds it difficult to get a job to take care of the baby. In many instances, this would force a girl to go on public welfare. If she gets...
Mrs. Fabola Gill is the school's principal.
Which is terrible.
So as in today, there's never been a system in place to work with young families. I guess that system would be the church and the families unit itself. But there's not a government agency that works to rebuild the young families, to take these young mothers and these young fathers, even from back today, from back in 1967 to today. It's just primarily about the mother, separating the mother from that father and raising that baby as a state baby.
And there doesn't seem to be any way out of this for me. She is likely to have another out of wedlock child. And as the babies continue coming, she gets farther and farther down into her state of depression.
Many of our young girls would like to work, and they have tried. They really have tried to support their family, but the system and everything else just tears them down, and eventually they just become satisfied with welfare. They don't try anymore because they see there's no sense of trying until this whole system has changed.
Jeanette Salter is a welfare mother, works in Head Start, and receives a small supplement to her check.
You know, people talk about the ADC mothers don't want anything. They're not going to ever get anything. This is the same feeling that they have. They have tried and they want jobs, but nobody's going to give them a job. And the first thing they holler, well, you on ADC, you know, and you don't have any experience. And how can you have experience when you're just coming out of school? And nobody's willing to try, you know, to give them a chance. And I'm beginning to believe, and so are most of the parents, that people want you on ADC. They like you there. You know, they can control you on ADC. And a lot of them just feel, well, I might as well sit here and get what I can. And they do have to cheat and lie and steal and to try to beat the system and try to just survive, not really live. Most of them are just surviving.
And I mean, in this, I don't know, because I haven't watched this piece yet. We're watching it together. Again, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Welcome to the Culture Playbook. I don't hear anything about accountability, you know, as far as sounds like the same thing that we got. Sounds like we got the same issue today that they had there. It sounds as if sometimes these women want to remove themselves from their actions. Like you cannot separate you from your actions. And your actions are going to result in your present. Whatever you got going on now is due to actions that you've taken or did not take.
Welfare departments claim that they want to encourage marriage and thus get women off the welfare rolls. But the investigation of a woman's eligibility for ADC discourages the beginning of any relationship with a man and marriage.
Well, if he's someone who is sincerely interested in you, you would like perhaps to invite him to dinner. You would like to, maybe he would like to spend the day with you. And if this happens, then, and you have a neighbor who particularly.
Okay, let's run this part back again. And these are women with children. And they're talking about that the system is encouraging women to get married. But then again, that's not the reality to the women. And let's let this lady go through this again. Again, welcome to the Culture Playbook.
I might as well sit here and get what I can. And they do have to cheat and lie and steal and to try to beat the system and try to just survive, not really live. Most of them are just surviving.
Welfare departments claim that they want to encourage marriage and thus get women off the welfare rolls. But the investigation of a woman's eligibility for ADC discourages the beginning of any relationship with a man and marriage.
Well, if he's someone who is sincerely interested in you, you would like perhaps to invite him to dinner. You would like to, maybe he would like to spend the day with you. And if this happens, then, and you have a neighbor who particularly don't care for you, then the welfare department will hear about it, and then they suppose that this man is living there, or that you are supporting him out of your funds, you're feeding him with your funds. Or if you claim you're not feeding him out of your funds, then their answer will be, then he's giving you money.
And she said, oh, you can't have a boyfriend. We don't allow that. And I wanted to know why. And she said, because it doesn't look right, you know, with the kids. And so I said, I still don't see why they have anything to do with me with a boyfriend. And she said, well, you'll have to get rid of him. You have to make plans to marry him. And I told her I wasn't getting married. I wasn't ready for it. I just got out of one. And I said, now, look, you're going to.
And that's it, man. That system encouraged it. And I hear this woman talking, but it encourages bad behavior. It encourages bad behavior. And I get it. You got some strange person telling you, hey, look, you don't need to have a boyfriend. But that's the reality of it. Because the decision-making is what ended you up in 1967 on that system. The same thing that ends people up on that system today.
Tell me, here I am, 37 years old at that time, and I've been married, got 5 kids here in the home, and had been married to this one man for 16 years, and you're going to tell me I can't have a boyfriend? And so she said, well, we doesn't allow the ADC mothers with boyfriend. And I couldn't understand that. So she left. When she left, well, then she come back to tell me that my case was denied. This is what happened. She come back to tell me that they had denied me, that I could not get on the aid.
If a man marries you, that he should, take on the initiative of supporting your family. And, to tell a man that makes, $125, $135 a week that he should accept me and 9 kids and support us is crazy. Because, realistically, I would feel that if I married a man in this position, that, it wouldn't take but maybe 6 months. If it took that long, he would begin to resent my kids. He would hate me. He would beat me and he'd scream at the kids. He'd start beating the kids out of frustration. And, maybe it wouldn't be because he didn't love me and the kids, but because he was, being deprived of, just having, a pair of shoes on his feet and proper food for himself,
Wow. When I talk about keeping it real, this lady right here is keeping it real. And when I say based in reality, what she's saying is based in reality.
For kids that he wasn't responsible for. And this is, thinking realistically.
Weeping and crying for someone to love.
In Cleveland and elsewhere, very little economic incentive exists for women to get off welfare.
They would like for you to go out and go to work or even seek part-time employment. But if you do this, then most of what you make is taken away from you.
They receive only a small part of the extra income if they work. The jobs which they can get rarely offer very much more money than the...
If you are from any of these places, Cleveland, LA, Boston, any of these big cities, and you are familiar with, have been in, or, just have been able to see what the welfare systems are like in these places, get in the comment section and tell me what you think about what you're seeing to this point right here.
Welfare check itself. In a pilot project in Cleveland, they are allowed to keep only enough to bring them up to the state's welfare minimum. They are encouraged to go to school and get training, but even after training, good jobs are scarce. Beverly Siegel, a Cleveland social worker, visits Mrs. Fanny Brooks, who has left a Title V job training program to care for her children.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about today is the fact that you'll be going off of the training program. And now that you're going back onto ADC alone, it will be cut back, to regular ADC, which will be $92 difference. And that's quite a bit of difference. And it's going to be difficult, I imagine, to get used to living on that type of budget again.
Yes, it will be.
And the system, again, this is an insidious system, man. Just imagine being these people, having these young people from a whole nother walk of life coming in your house, throwing pennies at your feet and basically telling you that you need to be thankful and grovel at your feet. And as a matter of fact, while we're giving you this, you are not, by no stretch of the imagination, should try and lift yourself up above this line. If we catch you doing that, you will lose everything.
But I would rather have a small amount and have peace and happiness and harmony in my home than have a lot of difficulties and different problems. I didn't choose this position that I'm in, and I wouldn't want my kids to do it for nothing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Today itself, too late. The wise man did yesterday. All right? You want to try that one for us, Mr. McQueen?
Leroy McQueen, who is getting his high school diploma and hopes to go into computer work, is a welfare father on a training program. It's a myth that the welfare rolls are filled with able-bodied men. Less than 1% of those on welfare are capable of working. In 1962, realizing that ADC ignored men and tended to break up families, Congress passed the ADCU program, Aid for the Dependent Children of the Unemployed. Mr. McQueen worked in a print shop for 7 years. One day, the shop went out of business. Mr. McQueen could not find another job. Shortly after he went on welfare, Mr. McQueen's wife died, and he was faced with the prospect of raising his 5 children himself. The welfare department gave him a temporary professional homemaker.
Hey, Rita. Maybe you'll have some more sometime, huh? You still don't want
A professional homemaker? Did not even know that existed.
any water?
A midday snack is water and Jell-O. Now he remains on the welfare rolls as he gets an education. He has the added burden of raising a family.
Hi. How you doing?
He does the cooking and cleaning up himself.
Right now, not so much noise in there. Not so much noise. Come on, eat. Gregory, Reginald, Gina, Stevie, come on, eat.
Dinner is usually beans with some ham hocks, and as in most welfare homes, no milk. Almost all starches, little meat. Mr. McQueen's dilemma is compounded by the fact that he must find help for his children while he is at school or work.
Huh? Take your time. Look who off.
Mr. McQueen has many problems. He lives for the day when he can earn enough so that his children have proper meals, the day when he can provide for his family adequately, when he can relax with some assurance about the future.
How many roads must a man walk down?
The electric guitar is in and out of the pawn shop, a reflection of Mr. McQueen's financial fortunes.
And that's a reflection of today. A lot of people live in and out of the pawn shops. 1967, 2025.
How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times must those cannonballs be fired before they're forever banned? Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you that the answer is when it is the oh, and in the wind. The answer is going in the wind. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you.
How many years?
If you're still with us here at the Culture Playbook, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Hit the follow button. Thank you.
Before it's the one to the sea. The answer is blowing in the wind. Come on, baby. You want to sleep? Yes. Huh? Yes. Want to go to bed? Yes. Okay. Lay down.
And my question is, why were they filming this? What were they doing? Were they? What was the study? What was the overall study? Because I don't know if this was the name of the documentary back in 1967. It could have been. This is what it is on YouTube right now. Again, I'm using this for educational purposes. Fair use.
Today, Mr. McQueen does not go to school because the homemaker didn't show up. His children play in the backyard.
If I could get a housekeeper, this would help me more than anything else. Just someone to clean the house. Cooking I do generally most myself, but even then, well, the right person cooking right, I could stand that, I think.
That was the mentality of a man in 1967, obviously. Cleaning the cooking, and well, he did do the cooking, but cleaning the house was just, I guess that was a bridge too far in 1967.
But I think mostly what we need here is just a person to be in the house and help with the cleaning and getting the kids off to school. You know, now that I go to school myself and giving them their lunches, and I could take over in the evenings.
In the past, I was able to get you an emergency homemaker, and this seems to be a very bad month. They're completely filled up. But the woman says that's in charge of the referral says that she certainly will be having someone come out here as soon as possible. But I know that in the meantime, you can't afford to miss any more school.
I really want to finish school and get back to work. This is my most important objective. And I don't know, it just seems like it's so far away. You know, the more I look after it, the more it seems like it just gets farther away. And then problems come around and you can't get a babysitter or a housekeeper when you need it. Like, for instance, today I'm home all day today because I don't have one.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. McQueen.
Hi, Miss Sigmund. How are you doing?
Okay, how are you?
Okay. What happened on the babysitter? Find anything?
As far as I know, they still haven't gotten anyone. She told me that she'd keep trying, and as soon as she would find one, she'd give me a call.
What about those little pants that the boys wear? It's really just about gone now, and they're...
So in that time, does he not go to work and not get a job? And I wonder if there's any programs like that now, today in 2025. Please get in the comment section and let me know if you are a part of a program like this.
A lot of holes in them. And kids need shoes too.
I can't promise anything because, of course, it has to be approved several times along the line, but I will give it a try.
Of the $8 billion spent on welfare every year, less than half ever reaches welfare clients.
The welfare bureaucracy grinds extremely slowly. The total paperwork...
This was supposed to be the job of Doge. So here we are in 1967, and it talks about how much of the money that is spent on welfare that actually doesn't make it to welfare. You see all that paper and all of that office infrastructure and all of those people in that office and offices all over the nation. That's where the money goes.
The total number of approvals needed, the total number of departments a request has to go through takes an awful long time. The most frustrating thing that I run across, and I feel is the reason why many social workers leave, is the fact that there is a volume of paperwork to do. There's a terrific bureaucratic structure through which every piece of paper must go through, making processes very long and drawn out, and there isn't the time to do the casework that one would actually like to do. Also, it takes an awful long time for a caseworker to get to know the system, the welfare system, and to try and live within it, and perhaps even beat it on occasion. Well, I think I'd rather work with people that did have the basic necessities of life. It would make it much simpler. They could feel worthwhile if they were given enough money to live on.
I think since '62, the emphasis has been on providing services rather than just becoming an agency that provides the dole or just the money that's needed.
Eugene Burns is the welfare director of Cuyahoga County, which includes the city of Cleveland.
Services that we're going into now with the emergency service that we are providing, I think, which is a big improvement over what it was before, in addition to the regular casework services.
The emphasis on services, not money for clients, has led Cleveland women like Louise Gaston into the welfare rights movement. She wants more money for welfare clients so that welfare children can grow up without a sense of deprivation.
And what's sadistic about this is that now in most cities, when you go into these welfare offices, the directors and the people that work in there are usually Black women.
Well, I tell them just because we're on welfare, that doesn't mean that we are down and industrial people. They still are fond of their father. My daughter, she doesn't care for him, but I try to teach her that after all, it still is her father. He takes him nowhere. He doesn't come to see him. He doesn't support him. You take the trash out. I am having proceedings now for a divorce. It's been hectic because I've had to raise them by myself. I haven't had too much problem, even though they are teenagers. Tell them to pile off the table.
Mrs. Gaston protests what she feels is the injustice of the American welfare system in not providing enough for families. But organizing against it is not easy.
But organizing takes quite a bit out of you. You're tired. Sometimes you're bitter. You get angry because people don't see life like you do. Especially when things are that you're trying to push are for their benefit as well as yours. I've had women slam the door in my face and tell me, well, whatever you're fighting for, if you get it, I'm going to get it anyway, so I'm going to fight for it. What am I going to knock on doors for? I mean, these things make you angry, but you learn to look at them and feel sorry for them.
Cleveland women meet in Mrs. Gaston's home. The desire to change and improve the system has brought hundreds of Cleveland welfare recipients into welfare locals. The movement is a young one in Cleveland, and nationally it's about a year old. The experience of being in an organization is a new one for most of the women. Building a membership means gaining a strategy for organizing.
Local meetings that I was under the impression, and I was told that no one person have to join a local to get any kind of help or aid from the local.
That's what your group says.
That's right. You don't have to.
But all the other groups don't see it like you feel. Because I brought it back to my group how you all felt, remember? That this was primarily...
The women believe that the first step in reforming the welfare system is for them to get adequate money. They do not feel they need rehabilitation by caseworkers who make continual investigations into their eligibility for welfare. They want enough money to raise their families. They want a chance at jobs which will pay them decently. They want to share in making the decisions which affect their lives.
$50 cut in their check, and you're going to tell them to give them you $1, then you'll see that their check is right. He said, yeah, if they want to get it raised or if they want their money back. Now, this is what he said the National Coordinating Committee was supporting, and I'm in thorough disagreement.
I'm going to do. People in the system still meet and have these kind of elaborate meetings. When I say elaborate, they're talking about national boards and all this other stuff like this. I don't even think it gets nowhere near this deep in 2025. Somebody get in the comment section, please. And thank you for listening to the Culture Playbook. If you are here and you haven't hit the like button, I don't know why. Please hit that like button.
With that,
I think we went over this ground before, and I think we did agree that in terms of Cleveland organizing, that the denial of service wasn't to take place if a person didn't have their dues. Yeah, that was the understanding I think we all had.
Paul Younger is a Protestant minister who has worked with the poor for a decade.
That we're trying to get folks from all over the city into our locals, and they'll be coming to the Food Stamp Center.
Okay, we're trying to sign people up to join welfare rights movement. And what's been happening is people on welfare for years have really been just mistreated, and now we're banding together to really get something going. We have locals already set up, and somebody will get in touch with you.
I can write it. I can print it.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, you can print it.
An interviewer from a local television station.
Mrs. Plummer, today is your beginning of recruitment?
Yes. We're out here to take in relief clients to take and join our local union, welfare unions, all over the city.
Specifically, what is it you want?
I want to know what the citizens around Cleveland that weren't on welfare thought about this when they saw that on the news. I wonder if their attitude is the same as people, the general consensus attitude towards welfare recipients today and here in 2025.
We want to accomplish better relationships with the relief department. We want to take and get the things that our workers tell us that we can't have, like household furnishings and clothing orders and car fare going back and forth to the hospital.
Ladies want to sign up?
Success in organizing is more than getting people to sign a piece of paper. It means creating an organization which can build effective pressure on welfare departments, which can deliver economic benefits to its members. And that means helping persons to receive their full welfare payments under the present laws.
We're trying to help you get some of the things that you're eligible for getting in the union, or help you because we're trying to get everybody to stick together. One person just don't have to fight for themselves. All of us fight for each other.
Welfare authorities in Washington disagree with the emphasis of welfare clients groups. Washington believes that rehabilitation through employment training will solve welfare problems. How is this to be done? The head of the Department of Social and Rehabilitation Services is Mary Switzer.
I think you have to have it organized. You have to find ways to take care of the children. If the mother is reluctant to leave home with the children, you have to have increased daycare facilities. And you have to begin, in many ways, at a different level than you did with a handicapped person who may have had some schooling, even though they may have been out of the mainstream of life. I think you have to find the right kind of training with jobs at the end of it. And I think all elements in the community have to be involved in this employment problem. We should encourage employment not only with the end result of getting people not dependent upon public welfare or public assistance, but to help them, if there is a low welfare standard, adequately to supplement it. And this has been one of the chief failures, I think, of the administration of public welfare in this country. I think that it has been a great mistake to not allow and not to give the incentive to people to keep what they earn up to a point. Now, obviously, when they have a job that is going to be permanent and they are secure in it, then, of course, you wouldn't want them to be dependent on public welfare. But until they reach that point, what they earn, they ought to be encouraged to earn.
This system is definitely designed to keep people down. And I feel like this lady, she's way intelligent enough to understand that, and she knows that the system that she is the head of there is designed to keep these people down.
In order to supplement welfare payments, particularly where they're inadequate. But usually what happens is that if they earn a little, they are penalized by having it taken out of their assistance payment, so the incentive to work is not as great as it otherwise would be.
Ms. Switzer puts her emphasis on the
And
training.
that's exactly what she just said, that if they make a little bit more money, they get penalized, and it takes away the incentive for them to earn more and to get themselves off of the system. And she said it really fast, but that's what she said.
Programs and other services which will lead to the employment of welfare mothers. The welfare rights movement puts its emphasis on giving enough money to welfare clients to enable them to live decently. The form of the welfare grant is not considered as important as its size. Dr. George Wiley is a key organizer of the welfare rights movement.
And from 1967 to 2025, this program just continued to expand and expand and expand. And now they're trying to reel it back in with this latest big, beautiful bill that was passed by the Trump administration.
And we are finding across the country that there has been increasing discussion in high places of such things as the guaranteed annual income and other things that are supposed to be panaceas to solve the problems of the poor. Well, welfare was supposed to be a panacea 30 years ago. And all of those people...
And he's saying 30 years ago, which would have been 1937. And that would have been around the time of the World War and the Great Depression and all that other good stuff.
People who are poor today know that those kinds of easy solutions did not work. The thing that every welfare recipient knows is that there are 2 or 3 basic issues, and the welfare rights movement is beginning to articulate those issues loudly and clearly. And that is that the most basic issue for a welfare recipient is enough money to feed and clothe and house the members of his family. And very few people who are talking about a guaranteed annual income are talking about giving poor people amounts of money that would allow them to live in decency and with a sense of adequacy. And it is that the welfare rights movement is going to have to bring across this country, that we...
But the question is, if you give them more money to live adequate and decent, what incentive will there be for those people to work and to get off of that program? We know from 1967 to now, you've got generations that's been on that system since then till now. So what incentive would a person have to work if you give them everything they need? How does that work?
Won't have any guaranteed annual income or any family allowance or any other scheme that doesn't provide people with at least the basic necessities of life for their families. And the second thing is that there must be a system of income distribution that gives to people the money that they are entitled to as a right, and you are entitled to your welfare as a right, that gives it to them with a sense of decency.
And where does this money come from? This is a tactic that I think that the Democratic Party uses very well, is to promise a bunch of free things.
A sense of dignity and respect, that you needn't be the subject of these investigations. This June, the National Coordinating Committee has organized and set up a campaign with a very simple theme that every welfare recipient understands. And that is that welfare recipients are tired of waiting. We are tired of waiting for checks. We are tired of waiting for the little pittance that people give out. But it is going to be a campaign to demand more money now. And so all over this country, welfare recipients will be organizing to go to the welfare department to present a very simple form outlining the most basic needs that they have for food, for clothing, for shelter, and to demand that the welfare department fill those needs now.
That could not have been a popular sentiment in 1967. Somebody who was around in 1967, get in the comment section, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so that anytime you want to see some good breakdown of some great historical stuff right here on the Culture Playbook.
Basic needs.
Amen.
Food.
Amen. Amen.
For children.
Amen.
We need clothing.
Amen.
Decent housing.
Amen.
On June 30th, welfare clients in Cleveland marched, along with welfare recipients in 40 other cities. They sought to build pressure on local welfare departments to give more money to clients.
Up and down Ohio's roads. This is a history lesson. It tells you how you got where you are, and it ain't nowhere. Okay? Up and down Ohio's roads, up and down we go. All we get's a run around the state gets all the dough. Pity the kids on ABC, how can they stay in line when welfare checks are smaller than in 1959? Oh, up and down Ohio's roads, up and down we go. All we get's a run around the state gets all the dough.
We are walking for more money now and basic needs now. Our checks are too small to buy essential clothing and household items. We call on county welfare to write us special orders to meet these needs now, because our rent and utility allowance is too small to rent our families decent, adequate.
Would you say that these needs have been met now in 2025? And being that these needs have been met, what would you say the results of those needs being met is?
Housing or pay our utility bills. We call them, the state welfare department to raise the standards for rent and utilities now, because our children cannot live decently on 83 cents for the bare minimum of what it costs.
Maybe this was the thing that sparked Section 8. Maybe this was the some of the stuff that sparked the legislation that got us to Section 8, because I heard him mention utility bills and things like that. And, you hear about people paying $30, $40 utility bills and $40 rents. So maybe this is what she's talking about. Let's go.
In December of 1965.
This type of demonstration, an orderly, well-mannered demonstration that existed today, brings out to the public and brings out to those public officials in Columbus that there is a real need and that something should be done and has to be done. And I think, I hope that they're successful. But as far as staff, as I mentioned, staff has an obligation. We're a service organization. We're government employees. We have to serve the public. Our doors are open every day. Our staff is accountable for that type of service that is mandated under the statute, and we have to perform.
This is my cameraman. I stepped down over that thing and turned to
Ms. Wall, we can get the casework staff on and just see what, who are eligible and what. Ms. Gaston, will you come over here?
GRANTWOOD.
Want a couple more over here?
The usual press coverage of demonstrations gets a different reaction from the welfare client and the welfare administrator.
I want you two to hang on to this together as if you're handling it.
Well, I can't hand. I only hand what I.
No, this is for all of it. You're representing all of them for the moment. We got other pictures.
But that's all right with the rest of it.
I'm sure it's all right.
Is it okay?
They're all smiling, so it must be all right. You smile a little bit.
She's not trustworthy. I think this lady here is highly intelligent and understands what's going on. I like the fact that she asked the other people who was with her if it was okay for her to do it. And I'm looking at her now, looking at these documents, and I don't think she trusts what's going on.
I smile.
Miss Gaston, I want you to grab a hold of him too. Look at her, don't look at her.
Look at the look she's having at him, like, yeah.
Don't put it in front of my face, though.
So just bring closer together, please. That's it. And smile a little. Look right up at him.
All right?
Oh, that's it. Let's give him a big smile.
All right? Your picture being a paper, you want to smile, don't you?
I'm serious. I mean, this is no playing matter. This is serious.
We're serious, too. I just said, I think it makes sense.
Thank you.
She understands what was going on. They was trying to get they were trying to play like she was stupid.
All right, anyone else would like their picture taken?
Because that wasn't good enough.
All right. Please convey to the group my appreciation for their demonstration and the manner in which they conducted it. Thanks again. Come back again.
Oh, I'm tired. I want him to take a bath and go to bed.
Complaints were filed and hearings conducted throughout the summer of 1967 to bring welfare payments up to the highest possible level.
And did they achieve it?
At the end of the summer, welfare mothers from across the country met in Washington for the first national convention of the organized poor in the 60s.
We need money, Lord. Come we need money, Lord.
A bill had passed the House of Representatives which would freeze the welfare rolls at a 1967 level, would increase employment training and other services, and would compel women with children to leave their homes to work under threat that their assistance would be cut off. They came to lobby, but less than half a dozen officials consented to see them.
And they won't meet with us and talk to us about our problems. They locked the doors. They locked the doors when we came up here on the steps, but it's our building.
George Wiley was one of the speakers.
And I see everybody celebrating, and my question is looking at where we are now, looking at where the welfare system is now and what it has done to people and what we find when we go into these low-income communities and the type of people we find and the type of violence and the type of danger we find. Was this a victory? Because remember at the beginning of this, Martin Luther King talked about how this was an evil system, the welfare system, and what it did to people, what it did to women, what it did to men, what it did to children.
Gregory was another speaker.
We'd like to say thank you very much, because what you're doing here today, unborn babies will be grateful for. We want to put the Senate and Congress on notice that we are here today, and we're not mad, we're just tired. But I hope they don't make the same mistake they made with the freedom movement. We came here 4 years ago with the freedom movement, we weren't mad, we were just tired. Today the freedom movement could not come back because we're not tired, we're mad now.
Give me back what you stole from me. You don't have to talk to me. I mean what I say. People say to me, is it just words? No, baby, it ain't words to me. I mean what I say.
And this movement, again, it may have put more money in the pockets of welfare recipients, but it did nothing to repair the family structure, which is the true source of wealth in the United States.
I say, I got 7 children. I got 2 sons. All they can see is the Vietnam War. My son say, I won't go. I said, praise be your name, child. You ain't going no damn place. So we spread the word. You know what rescuers is doing? I tell you what they're doing. We know we need a new welfare system. We gonna control that system. We don't need them people telling me what I need, what I should do, where I should go, how I should act. I want to act like me.
And that's what a lot of that was about, is the women's liberation movement, you know, want to act like me. Well, she said she want to act like me. And what does that mean exactly? And so that's about it right there, man. And I think that was a great documentary. Shout out to the folks that made that documentary. I want to say to everybody, thank you for tuning into the Culture Playbook. Please like, subscribe, share. Turn on the notifications so that anytime we go live or we do any of these types of pieces, you will be the first to receive the notification.